Hello everyone. So this video is going to be about how to import your grades from a Google Classroom into Aeries, but in a different way than you're probably used to. There's an old method, which is a little bit more time consuming, and then there is now a new feature that can save you probably a lot of time. So we're going to walk through each step and the process for setting that up. Once you have done that, it is incredibly easy from there on out. So the old method of importing grades would be that you would usually go to your gradebook, select the class that you wanted to import your grades from, select the assignment, enter scores, do the drop-down menu, and say import from Google. And you would then select the assignment from Google Classroom and import those scores. And you'd have to do that every time you made grades, entered new grades on Google Classroom, and you'd have to do that for every assignment for every class. And then that definitely can be tedious and time consuming. So the method that I'm going to show you today is how to take advantage of a new button that can actually be found on the dashboard for your classrooms on Aeries. And it's this one right here that's called Import Assignments from Google. Before I get into that, though, I want to point out some things. Very important that on the main home page of Aeries, where all of your classes are situated, that if you haven't done this already, that you link your Aeries account to each of your Google Classrooms. So like, for example, I'm going to use my first period class. So I'm going to say add website, and you're given a couple options to either create a new Google Classroom, or you can link one that you've already created. You also have options to link a personal website or something like that that you've created, maybe a Google Sites. But for today's application, we're going to be doing the Google Classroom option, and I'm going to be linking to a classroom that I've already created. So this would be my list of different classrooms that I have available. I'm obviously going to choose US period 1, which is the class that I want, so I'll select that. Takes a couple seconds, and then it's linked. Excellent. So now that I have that, I'm going to go back to my gradebooks, and I'm going to open up that class number 1 for US History number 1. And so that has been connected to this gradebook. Now, there is an assignment, that a quiz that I gave at the beginning of this week that was due today, and it hasn't been imported. It should be quiz 0.6, and you'll note that I have nothing after Lincoln's Gettysburg Address besides class participation. So what we will do there is we will then go back to the dashboard and say import assignments from Google. It'll take a second to load because it has to load all of your gradebooks. Once the gradebooks have all loaded, you can actually see some useful little data here. And you'll note that in my Aeries, which is this one right here, in US History 1, I have 13 assignments while my others have 14. It's because that quiz has been imported into the Aeries. On my Google side, you can see that I have 13. Now, the reason why there's a mismatch is because my Aeries has one more category, which is for participation and engagement, which I don't have a grade for in Google Classroom. But all you have to do to import grades is make sure that you have selected import scores, which I already have, and I will then press import. Now, we'll have to wait a few minutes while it imports all those scores because it's pulling not just the scores over, but also any new assignments that I've created to create in the Aeries. I have to do nothing in Aeries now. If you create it in Google Classroom, it will be created or imported over to Aeries automatically. This is truly what is the huge time saver because I can do my grading a couple times a week, import a couple times a week, and I am done. That is all the importing I have to do. 2 button clicks. So now that the gradebook has pretty much finished bringing everything over, you may have realized that this could take about 10 minutes or so. So go get yourself a cup of coffee or a bowl of ice cream. Enjoy the time in between, or you can just be super productive while you're doing it. So that is how you import from there. There are a couple little things that I'd like to mention, though. One thing that I've noticed that happens when I bring assignments over from my Google Classroom to my Aeries is that I use categories and I have weighted grades. So it kind of matters which category they go into. And unfortunately, the categories from Google Classroom are not imported with the assignment. Now, I have found a workaround for this. It may work for you. It might not work for you, but I'm going to show you guys just in case it does. So if you go back to your gradebooks, and again, I'm going to use period 1, which you will notice now has the unit 0.6 quiz over here, right over here, and that's due today. So I'm going to check completed, and that now counts for my students' grades. I see that I have a couple students that have missed this. I'll follow up with them. So now you'll notice here, though, that this assignment was imported as an assessment, which is correct. This is exactly how I want it to normally show up. The problem is, though, is that I have assignments, which you'll notice that this has incorrectly been brought in as engagement and participation. So it'd be something I have to fix. This assignment came in correctly because I changed it. But assignments should be coming in as assignments. And so I was puzzled by this, and I was trying to figure out why this is happening. Because I have, if I go to manage my grade book and I go to my categories. So in order to solve the issue of importing assignments or assessments or different activities from Google Classroom in order to match the Aeries categories that you have, unfortunately, those are not imported along with their assignments to match your gradebook and Aeries from Google Classroom. So what I'm going to show you here is how you can you do a simple workaround in order to change things. What I originally had here was engagement, participation, and I had assignment and assessments, and the assignments were worth 45 points and the assessments were worth 45% of the grade. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete my engagement and participation category for right now. I'm going to copy this and import it over and carry it over to this one, because what happens is when an assignment is imported from Google Classroom to Aeries it is basically just given the very last category every single time. So for me, it used to be engagement participation. I changed it to assessment, and then I realized, wait a second, my assessment and my assignment categories are worth exactly the same percentage. I can just combine that and have this be renamed. So now, give these their proper values, which I'm combining to, so it'd have to be 90%. I can spell, I promise. So now I have engagement participation, 10% of my grade, assignment/assessment is 90%. I'm going to save that. It's going to carry across all my grade books. I will have to probably change some things because I've now changed how my categories work. So my assignments will be a little bit different now, and that's okay. The big thing here is that when I import new assignments is they will be properly categorized when they are imported. Something that I almost forgot to note is that if you have previously created assignments in Aeries and then you try to import those directly from Google using the method that I've shown you, what will happen is that you'll actually create duplicates. Hopefully if you watched to this point in the video and you get this explanation. So what I would recommend doing is, and it's gonna be a little bit tedious, but I promise you the 45 minutes that it takes will be well worth it, is to actually go through and delete any and all assignments that you created in Aeries that have a duplicate on Google Classroom. By doing this, you then allow for the imported assignments and scores to be directly coming from Google Classroom and not creating a duplicate in your Aeries. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Please let me know or let the tech team know if you have any questions with this process. We would be happy to help you